This is Dan Praz, the CEO for the Underground Radio Network and DebtorsRebellion.com. With debts, deficits, and dominoes, it's my explanation of our current budget and the deficit and debt crisis that we have in this country. Now, this is shocking. Everyone I talk to about this, they're shocked when they know the truth, and that's what I want to do. I want to show it to you so it's so obvious the trouble we're in as a country that it is absolutely shocking. Okay, so this is my little demonstration here is the current budget that we have. Now, each domino represents $100 billion, and there's 35 in our current budget here. Now, the white is money that we borrow. We borrow from places like China and Russia. If anybody thinks it's a great idea to be borrowing money from China or Russia, then maybe the United States government's doing the right thing, but I happen to think it's a pretty bad idea. So anyway, the Republicans get in 2010 into Congress, and they are all fired up. They're going to make massive cuts, and the liberal media is all out there saying massive, slashing cuts that they're going to make, okay? So they go in and they're going to cut $100 billion off of the 2011 budget. Now that's, folks, this is it. This is your $100 billion. Well, after fighting back and forth in that round, next thing you know, they're floating $66 billion. And the next thing you hear, they finally come to a budget, and it's $33 billion. And there it is. If you take a look at my little model here, you see the little red? That's what they cut. 1/3 of a domino is what they cut off the budget. There's no massive cuts. It's an absolute joke. It's an absolute disgrace. Now, every year, all this white goes onto this pile, and this pile represents the national debt. This is how much money we owe. Now, listen to me, folks. I'm going to tell you something really important. Right now, as the government stands, it's the government and the people. The government dictates, and it's the people. For this debt, it's not the government's debt. It's our debt. So when it comes time to pay the bills, they're going to say it's our debt. And guess what? Every man, woman, and child in this country owes nearly $50,000 right now of debt to pay off this enormous debt. Okay, so now here's the trick, and here's the shocking part. Our government could not even cut a full domino, $100 billion off the current budget. So they could not even pay one of these off. Not even one. Just cut one of them. But imagine if somehow magically we could pay off one of these a year. $100 billion, one domino off the pile. Here's the shocking part. How many years would it take to pay off this pile if we paid off one domino? Are you ready? 152 years. 152 years to pay off this debt. Now, if you remember, in the summer they had this big raise the debt ceiling fight, and they're going to cut more, and they're all battling, should they raise the debt ceiling? And they're making it a lot of smoke and mirrors and a lot of nonsense. And they come up with a plan to cut $4 trillion, okay, off the debt over the next 10 years. Now, if we didn't cut that $4 trillion, we would add $15 trillion more dollars in the next 10 years. By cutting it, we add $11 trillion. Now, I hope that makes you feel warm and fuzzy, but I want to show you what's going to happen, okay? So, after this all happens and they make that $4 trillion in cuts, it goes from this pile, and 10 years from now, it goes to this pile right here. This is what we're going to look like for debt in 2021. This is it. Now, let's just say we'd start paying off one of these in 2021 to get this giant pile. How many years will it take to pay off the debt then with this great debt reduction plan they came up with? Are you ready, folks? 252 years. 252 years. That's if we can actually pay off one of these. You got to remember, Congress couldn't even cut one off the budget. Folks, we are really in trouble. If you think that we can raise taxes to pay this enormous debt, you're thinking wrong. It'll just make it go faster. It'll make the end come quicker. We need a plan to get out of debt. This is Dan Praz. It's DebtorsRebellion.com, the Underground Radio Network. Get involved. Pass this around. Show other people. 152 years to pay the debt off. If we paid off one domino every year, we can't even cut one domino.